Hey everybody, welcome to Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Method here, back for another cool lesson for you today. I really think this one is great for some beginner guitarists that are looking to master the area where they want to begin to learn to improvise and solo, which is primarily when you're playing a solo, it's the higher strings on the guitar. So it's helpful to learn maybe more than just one string. You can learn the pattern on the low E string pretty easily, but that's a little limiting. How about the B and the E string? And then from there, we can see with pretty much one easy shape, a couple ideas, that this particular shape can really help you understand the entire fretboard. And we're also going to take a little look into how the pentatonic scale can also work into this little method. So let's just dive right in as fast as we can. And so what you see on the screen right here is I make some adjustments to my screen so I can better teach this lesson. Okay, I have my cursor working. For some reason, I don't have a cursor working on the screen, and that's not making any sense to me, so I'd hate to have to start this lesson all over again, but anyways, here we go. Okay, so what you see over here is the, and great, we got the cursor back, it seems. All right, you got this purple shape right here, and it's basically it. It's a pretty easy shape to play, and I'm going to show you how just learning this one shape could clue you into this entire soloing area, and then the rest of the fretboard. So here's the shape. We have basically we're just skipping a fret. It's making a whole step, just as it's shown. So in this example, it is important. Well, we want to be in a certain key today, so we're going to use the key of C. You can adjust this up and down for any other key you want to play, but we're going to use the key of C, and that is the lower corner note here. So I'll just put a little C in there so you know. That would be actually our root note in this particular system. So here's the shape, though. Pretty easy, just as it's, you can figure it out, I think, as it's. Right? Now, just as a quick addition, that sounds really basic. What the heck would you do with that? But when you get this method down, then you can do a lot of things with this shape. To make it more musical. Play parts of it, hand-rons. Combining that with the rest of the system that we'll learn here today. And then, even there, you can even get into adding in chromatics when you get good at it. Whatever, like that. So, there we have a cool little shape. Pretty easy, right? I mean, it's just. Nice to be, you can get a little quick with that shape too. Awesome. So, we'll move on from there. What we're going to do is simply add one more shape just like it. So, back to this purple shape, it was important for me to say that my pinky here is on the 12th fret. And on this particular otherwise cool looking guitar I'm playing that doesn't show the standard fret dots, which would make it a little more clear for a guitar lesson. But anyways, this is my 12th fret, pinky there. As you can see, the shape is lined up there on our diagram as well. So the orange shape, we just basically take the same shape, we're going to move it up, and we're going to take our index finger and move it up to the 13th fret and play that same shape. So you see they don't overlap, they're like little neighbors. They all both have that C note in them. In this particular case, our root note would be here, and that'll come up later as well. So pretty cool. Can you handle those two shapes? Because let me tell you the cool bit from here. If you stuck around this far, it's going to be even better because this is all you have to know to memorize the, well, with a slight little detail we're going to see in a second here. This is all you basically have to know to get across the entire B and E strings in key, knowing every note available for the whatever's happening in the scale system you're playing in this case, the key of C, or the key that you're playing in. Okay, so moving on there, it is helpful to know that you're not limited, of course, to just playing these shapes separately. Right, so we could also combine, as we see here, some purple and orange, and we get this shape. There's me flying across the fretboard with everything else I know, but as a basic, very common, very common little playable area. As a matter of fact, it's so easy. I almost see this as like avoided by many great, not really the center of many great solos, because it's kind of an obvious little pattern here, but the purple making a half step bend into that orange note is always a great thing. So anyways, we got that one. We've got another one just like it if we consider we're basically just playing from one shape into the other, or we're straddling both shapes, I guess, but of course there's here. I'll play both shapes. Adding in a note from the string above, but won't throw you off. To not know that right now, moving on, we have, now we can kind of look and see that, how could these two shapes be covering the entire fretboard? I mean, look at all that gray area, but let's take a closer look here and see that we have just covered the span of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What are we missing? 11, 12. You Sesame Street pinball fans, or maybe you were fans of the Pointer Sisters, who originally made that song, in case you wondered. The Number Count song, if you want to look up Number Count by the Pointer Sisters. Anyways, with the Sesame Street video, it's actually even more entertaining. So, we have the 1 through 10 here. What are we missing? The last two notes to get to 12, and then, therefore, this system should repeat, because after 12 frets, the octave repeats. There's no other notes. So how could this, how can we get that understood really quick and easy? Let me show you. So, all right, so we've got the orange shape. Here we go to the next slide. So let's fill in the repeats. There you have it. And they fit nice and neatly on our fretboard too, which is pretty cool. So we got, and way up here we got, whoa, way up here. When I say way up here, it should be a reminder for me to look at my camera and see if I'm actually playing the proper, playing in the camera. Alright, so you get that. And then, of course, down here, quite a bit of a difference in stretching from one side of the fretboard to the other, obviously, but we've got our same orange group of notes, and we'll cover what are those notes, what are the intervals, how can they be easy to know, we'll show you. So now we want a way to, we basically just need two more notes to cover the space of 2 frets to get the final connection between the two. And here they are. It's right here. This interesting little angle of notes, or basically a tritone. And as you might connect, if you're familiar with scales, you've been doing this for a while, or if you're brand new, there is one tritone interval in the major scale, and it occurs in the chord that appears at the fifth degree of the scale. That's very simply means, for the people that get lost when you say that, C, D, E, F, G. G is number 5 from C. That's the fifth chord. It's the fifth degree. And that is usually considered that important dominant seventh chord. And it's dominant because it has that tritone. It's the only chord available that has that tritone interval. Now, when you're a beginner, you say, who cares? What does that mean to me? I have no idea what you're talking about. But as you progress, if you're a beginner, you're going to find out that pretty much the most important scale, or the most important chord in this scale, is very arguably that 5 chord. It contains this interesting juxtaposition between major and minor. There's a lot of tension, and it leads to that resolve, because what you're really hearing in music is tension and resolve. I remember they told me that, and I couldn't understand it for so many years, but it really is, you will eventually arrive there and understand it yourself. And that's just about dissonance to consonance. Hear that? All right, so there we have it. After this scale shape, if I wanted to complete my run up the fretboard, it would be. Did you hear how that all sounded kind of coherent? Now I put another one down here, and we're going to see why I did that. And this is the next thing, is the interesting link up. So it's so easy to remember, because if you think, oh, how am I going to remember this? But it's only that one little shape that links up both the big boxes. We're going to call the purple and orange system the big boxes. And I have to make an adjustment to my screen here to get to the next pages. Okay, so very interestingly, that same pattern links up both of the original big boxes that you can see here where my cursor is. It links up both of those in the same way, except that it's inside. It kind of connects both of the shapes. And in this one, it's on the outside. I know it sounds impossible, but it is what it is. And that's what you heard when I did that. Did you hear me go out of key there? What did I do? Anyways, but you can hear it. When you start playing in key, then you can really hear when things go out of key, because you really you're really plugging in ideas when the notes are all combined and properly in a scale. You can tell when something changes. And I thought that change sounded kind of cool, because sometimes the interest in music is from changing keys, but far beyond the scope of this lesson. So let's continue. So I hope you guys can see that before I belabor the point too much. So we got this, and we also want to know that we have some numbers here, 4 and 7. Well, that's like the scale degrees I was talking about earlier for you beginners. The 4, what's the fourth note from C? C, D, E, F. And what's the 7th note? Well, we'll just consider the one before C, which is B. So that is F and B, the 2 tritone notes in the C major scale. What do you know? All right, cool. And now let me see here. Yeah, that's, I'm thinking the 4 and the 7. That is going to be the notes in the G tritone, the G chords tritone is going to be, but the chord is G, B, D, and we have the B right there, the 7, and then where's the F? Well, it's G, B, D, F is the fourth note to create a 4-note chord, which would be the 7th chord. 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, I know that threw some beginners off. Not important, and you can always, you'll eventually, if you just keep studying, you'll totally know what that meant in short order. If you just keep pressing on, if you got lost there. So, let's talk more about then intervals, shall we? So here we see the square taking shape. So we have the same group of 7, 1, and 3, 4. They just flip-flop. And we'll notice that too. I guess we'll want to talk about that. It's 4 and 7, and then 7 and 4. Kind of neat. It's the same pattern and the same exact intervals of the scale, or the same notes of the scale. And they just flip-flop. So where you had a 4 and a 7, and 7 and 4. Now I'm also going to show you later how you can really... another way that these will be memorable. So that creates our box shape that we've talked about all over in our last lesson and every other lesson. We're always talking about this navigation box, the 7, 1, 3, 4, the 2 half steps in the major scale, and well, there they are, and you can see where that 7, 4 comes from. Oh yeah, that's the 7, 1, 3, 4 box. Now down here, what's happening is the box is split. Here, if you had another string on the guitar after the E, if there was another high A string, you would have the box complete. You'd have a 7, 1, 3, 4 box there, and you have the 7, 1, 3, 4 box here occurring from the G to the B string. All right, so moving on from there, that's all we really need to know from there. As we kind of grow our interval understanding, because that's what we want to know here. What next thing we want to know is, what are these intervals? These are all bits of information you can use to know where you are when you solo, know why certain notes are going to sound the way they do, and differentiate both of these shapes as they just look. Since they're similar shapes, maybe they're similar notes if you're brand new. But okay, so here kind of illustrates, these are the two shapes, the purple and orange shapes, but they've been recolored for clarity here because I wanted to show you that they both contain 1, 2, 3. So here we have the 1, 2, 3, starting just like we found the C note earlier. 1, 2, 3, C, D, E. Now if we start at the top, that was what I call the bottom, or, well, as I look at my fretboard, it's the row closest to the floor, so I'll call that the bottom. On the diagram, it's on the top here. So I just did 1, 2, 3. Now up here in the orange, it's also, or we can see here in the green, 1, 2, 3, the same notes at the top. They should sound the same. Here we go. And sounded the same to me. Then we've got our 4 and 7 as the odd guys out. And then what do we have left? So we can always know what intervals we're playing when we're arriving in these shapes. We have the 5 and 6 are going to be in both shapes. So it's going to be, once again, here's 1, 2, 3. Here's 4, 5, and 6. Here's 1, 2, 3. 5 and 6. So from there, you have a 7 left. So you can see what you get here. Each one leaves out one note because there's 6 notes in these shapes out of 7 for the entire scale. So here we have a 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 is our purple shape, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more evenly distributed and memorable in our orange shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So cool. So all we need to do from here, now that we've just basically hammered out everything you need to know about the bottom 2 strings with 2 easy shapes and a little link up, memorable link up with the blue tritone. So if I was playing something in the key of C with all the notes of key of C, here's the C. Here's the D minor. Oops, sorry, that's not a D minor. You know, I'm just being random here, and I'm not bringing it home to any particular note or anything, so but just showing you that they do plug in to any of the chords of the key of C. Here's the orange shape with the over the G chord. The G note right there. E minor. See how you can plug in all kinds of cool, worthy lines with the chords that correspond to the key that you're playing. In our example, the key of C major, which contains, in case you're new, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G dominant 7, or just a G major triad if you take out that fourth note. The A minor, B diminished, which is related strongly and often used as a substitute for that G chord. And then back to the C. Alright, so moving on with a lot of tidbits thrown at you. We've got, let's check out how pentatonics can fill out the rest of the fretboard. What did I do there? Something. Alright, well, anyways. So, the first shape, we're going to call it the Aeolian shape, but I'm just concentrating on the gray. This is what I mean by a pentatonic shape, your classic standard pentatonic box being played here from the 5th fret, so as if I was playing an A minor pentatonic. Which incidentally, the top two notes are A and C. We're in the key of C, and if we were considering this as our root note, or just playing over a C chord with a C in the bass, this would also be a C major. Major pentatonic, or minor pentatonic. Same shape. Alright, so we got that shape. Now if we straddle it over, it's right above where we would want to place it in the scale. If we straddle it above this system, if you're familiar with your fretboard, you should automatically be going, oh, that's the shape my guitar instructor taught me as Aeolian. Those adding in the missing two notes, remember 5-note scale just needs 2 notes to be a 7-note diatonic scale, complete major scale. So those add the final character to the sound. I'm going up the fretboard with what I know that you may not know out there, but not important for what I'm teaching you today. Anyways, though, that can actually inform you to the that whole part of the fretboard. There it is. There's the rest of our shape plugged in where we're trying to explain it here. Got a whole bunch of sheets here to get through, so let's keep moving. So all we have up here is the pentatonic, but maybe we want to add in. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh, wait. As I said here, I created this lesson a couple of days ago, and now I'm trying to teach it. And so sometimes my ideas are coming out different than when I made the lesson. Anyways, not really relevant anyways, or, well, it doesn't totally matter, just to keep this easy, but you get more notes going down your fretboard right there. So now you know you can solo pretty easily completely across the bottom 2 strings of the entire fretboard, plus a little bit of notes up here. And the same exact thing happens, would you believe? And this is where you can also learn, where I always say, hey, there's 3 pentatonics in your major scale. Here's number 2, and we're going to just about, the next slide, we'll get to number 3. So here's number 2. We straddle it over this part of the scale, or the pattern that we created along the bottom strings. And if you'll notice, this one, our first shape here straddled the blue 4 and 7. All the shapes I'm going to teach you all have some relation to this little 7/4, 4/7 blue note thing. So, anyways, here we go with this one. Now, if I were to add in the bottom strings to that. So now we really got some flavor in there. There's the purple box. A little orange in there. Back down. Distortion kicking in there, so sorry if your speakers crackled. I'll turn the volume of the guitar down just a touch. It's got some distortion circuit in there. You can even pull on this knob to increase that. But anyway, sorry, not part of the lesson. So here we have one called Phrygian. In case you wondered, there's our, you can use these names. You can call this the Slombonian scale. That word was made up by David Gilmour in an article I read many years ago. The Slombonian scale. Anyways, but Dorian, if you want to give it the proper name that it will be usually referred to for many other reasons that we can't dive into in this lesson. Modal things, all that stuff. Don't get confused with that. Just if you want to give it its own name, there it is, so you kind of know where you are. Because your guitar teacher might teach you, and this is the Phrygian scale. Now it's half pentatonic there. Here it is with the notes I haven't included in the diagram here. These notes up here, little half steps, the square box. Anyways, so there's orange. And now when I'm in this purple box, remember, when I'm playing these notes, I have entered there's nothing to think about. I don't have to think about, when I was a new guitarist, I would always have to, I'd be in one of these shapes they taught me, and then I would think, oh, where else do I go? Oh, this is all gray and confusing to me. Before I realized that some of these shapes, I am in that other box, so I just have to use this note as my anchor to know that I'm in that Aeolian shape. So back to the purple, back to the orange, and back to our Phrygian shape. And why did that sound complete there? I went up to that 1, that key of C, because primarily since we're noodling around that key, that's going to sound like a real home bass note, generally speaking, unless there's some other bass note playing. Because we all love and know the major scale so much. Thank you, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and happy birthday. All right, moving on. So let's get a little bit more in depth. So here's everything that we just learned grayed out. And for some reason, I have, so from the pentatonics, the darker gray notes are where I added in all the other notes that you would, to complete these scales. If that makes any sense to you, it's great. If not, then you can watch other lessons where I describe how to know your major scale from other points of view, where you'll always know where these little boxes of notes are. So notice that this is a box. It contains these are the blue notes in gray. And this box here contains those notes up and down. You say, now why are they up and down here and in the box, and then they're across each other in the box? And that is not explainable by me at the moment because I think I put a gray box somewhere where when I wasn't paying attention. I think it's supposed to be there. It should be there actually. This one should be the gray box. The gray box. And as a technical, well, you know why I didn't? Because that wasn't one of the missing notes. I was just all right. Let's just move on because it's just something. Well, come back to this screen if you want those extra notes, and you can copy them down into your notes, and you'll know where they are, or just not totally important, but there they are. I mean, what's really important here is if you just take away this B and E string little area, you're going to be having your own first forays into what you can do with upper solo style notes when chords are playing, and that's really what this lesson is about. But in case anybody wanted to see how this ties into the entire fretboard, this is how it works. So there's everything that we learned in now all in green. So you can see, and it's basically just this major scale that we've always taught everywhere else on the fretboard. See, with my knowledge here, I can now get all different directions. I want to go down. I want to go up over here. I want to go back this way. Go down Aeolian. And all kinds of stuff. So, all right. So that being said, what was I elucidating here? Oh, okay, yeah. Now, so if you wanted to just think from these large structures that we learned from the purple and orange structure, just going straight up and down from there, there's some interesting relationships in the patterns that I find are pretty memorable. So if I wanted to go down from here, when I was here, where are the notes? Well, they're not there. So let's try again. Yeah, look at that. Nice lesson, teacher. You screwed it all up. All right, so here's what I'm going to do really fast here. I can actually fix this pretty quick. So if you give me a second here, we're going to go here. We're going to go cut. And then we are going to go here, and we are going to go paste. Awesome. And that's a little more memorable. Oh, it makes sense, right? So basically got the same structure. That's basically the orange structure up at the top. We got our box shape, our notorious half-step box shape, the 7-1-3-4 box, straddling there. Now I had to add in one more note to make that memorable, and that's right there. And you might say, well, what about this note? That should be right here, but that's also this note. And if we want to make this, and that's maybe almost where I would play it. I'd even probably play a different shape, go into this combination of purple and orange here, but it's still helpful to know all these other structures with these other mental pictures, so you can really just get around anywhere you want. So, moving on. And that, by the way, was a C major 7 chord. You have an A minor shape down here with a C root. Now, of course, it's not actual A minor. It's just making sure this actually would be part of a, what you might know as E minor. Take your E minor chord and just move the root to here. So the C on the... comes out when you start playing around with these geometries. And certainly that chord progression has got to be in a bunch of songs. I was just going to start singing some parts of Pig's 3 different ones because it uses this E minor and C major, but not particularly those grips, and never mind. So, here we go. The orange shape goes like this. I would take that same pattern, and all I have to do to move to the G string is to move it down toward the headstock 1 fret. So, and then back up at the top, we are still aligned. We have to shift back and align with our original shape, starting at the 13th fret. So you say, well, what's in the middle there? Well, what do you think is in the middle? What would you guess? Is there another random shape from the moon? Is it something new and confusing? Or is it the same exact shape, the same exact geometry that we just found with the purple setup, and just in a new string set, meaning using the A and D strings instead of the other pattern, which was using the D and G strings. We'll see that back here. See that? D and G for the square box. So where's our square box here? It is right there. And then with the gray illustrates that you actually have a memorable scale shape that we went over a couple of minutes ago and called it the Phrygian shape. Whoa. Got a little fart note there. I'm not used to playing that like that, so I just assume play this. Play the notes through other shapes. But that's it. This is reaches the last tile I wanted to teach. So with that, I mean, you've got everything from we just covered every note, how to find every note on the fretboard in the key of C, just using this the 2 big shapes across the B and E, and then how to bring them straight down through different geometric shapes that are memorable and can help you not only memorize or know all the notes that you need for that particular scale, but know how to just get around in different directions now, just kind of morph between different shapes without you're not learning these full-on hard to memorize 7 boxes that just keep you going, keep you just kind of always in a, and then but then what's here, you gotta have to move and get to a new box, and then here I'm going to move and get to a new box, and then it's always box, but nothing is ever, what if I just want to go diagonal, like you see all the great players being able to do. That's can be a way that they accomplish that. All right, to keep this brief, I'm going to leave you with that. I should have said in the very beginning of the lesson to like and subscribe and all the good stuff. There's a link in the 2 links in the description below. One of them allows you to say, hey, this lesson was really cool. Here's 50 cents, dude. If it was worth it to you and you got 50 cents, we could really stand to cover the cost of these lessons. It's very important. And then the merchandise is also cool because it gets me some little sliver of profit over these items, and you get something cool like a cool Mind's Eye t-shirt or tapestry for your studio. Really cool. I don't see too many people clicking on there, so if you can check it out, at least just look. And definitely, and just click that subscribe button, because all it does is you get a notification whenever I put one of these videos out, and it's pretty cool. I guess you got to click notify too or whatever, but anyways, it helps. Everybody helps you, and because if you don't care about whatever else other lesson I do, hell, you just skip it. And then, but it helps me grow the channel, which is what is most important to every YouTuber that's doing this stuff. Thank you very much. We will see you on the next lesson. And leave a comment. Also, tell me, like, hey, this was kind of cool, or hey, this was incredibly stupid, or I couldn't even understand anything. And I'm going to get a mix of all those comments because there are people that are like, they've got enough background, and they're like, oh yeah, oh my gosh, this is cool. And actually, you can click off the lesson now. I'm just going to ramble here a bit, just to kind of show you, when if you read the comments, oh, shit sucked. I don't, first of all, I'm dumb for saying this because it just encourages sometimes people to do this stuff, but because, we all know that from scrolling comments on the internet, there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there. But if you're right in the right, these lessons are going to be, all my lessons are great for the people who are really in the right spot. If you already know this stuff, then you're just looking at this going, okay, you got it right, huh? Well, that's a weird way to explain it, but oh, he did it. Or if you don't know any of this stuff at all, you're really new, you might have found this to be like, well, I can sort of follow, but he lost me when he said the fifth chord and the seventh and the this and the that, and I kind of don't know. Um, or if you're right in the middle there, this can be like a really eye-opening lesson for the few people that I meet at that right moment. Um, or click on this lesson at the right moment in their musical journey. And finally, it's also about these intervals, so what you're experimenting with when you're. You can make lines that aren't just noodly, but they're actually making sense to the chord that you're playing on. All right. Thank you very much for watching. We are going to catch you next time, and I hope you guys have a great time until the next lesson. See ya. Thank you.